According to a new poll, 3 in 10 adults admit that their parents are paying for at least one of their bills, and almost a quarter of millennials say that their parents are covering their rent. Joining us to talk more about what this means for all of us is money and business expert Derek Kinney. Derek, thanks so much for taking the time.
My pleasure, Jason. Good to be with you.
Okay, so this is totally foreign to me. I never had a parent paying a bill. It would have come in handy, though, for sure, at certain points in my life. So when they're paying these bills for their adult children, is this like a cell phone bill, or generally are we talking about larger monthly expenses than that?
Well, I was shocked when I saw this report. I had to dig deeper because my parents never paid for my bills either. And this is more than the cell phone. And what I found is I did this poll on my social media, and many parents still have their kids on their cell phone package because it's cheaper to have a family plan. So I can say, you know what, I'm okay with that. That's probably 20 bucks a month. These are basically rent, utilities, and groceries, much more than $20 a month. Rent could be as high as $1,000 a month. The bottom line is there is this sense of economic outpatient care that's going on where parents simply haven't cut the financial cord, which means their kids, which are now adults, simply cannot become the independent adults they want them to be.
Okay, and so is there also, though, on the other end with these younger people, these younger adults, is there a struggle that's happening there as they're, sort of setting out there, getting into the workforce, trying to contribute to that 401k like you're always telling us that we need to do, and, taking on all the bills of adulting? Is there something that's happening there? Why is this happening exactly?
Well, the bottom line is we've had quite a few economic crises. We had the Great Recession, we've had COVID. There's been several things that parents have had to navigate along with their kids. And many of these kids were in college and now they're out of college and beginning adulthood. The bottom line is oftentimes parents, and this is no fault of their own, there's a lot of peer pressure out there, they can send their kids to colleges they can't afford in the first place to sort of keep up this image. And if things go down in the economy, it can really punch them in the gut with their money. So some of these things are on the heels of some bad decisions already made. But the bottom line is, if parents don't begin to cut this cord and talk to their kids about, here's what to expect, here are the expenses you'll be responsible for, it can actually hold back the parents from achieving some of their financial goals and ultimately saving enough money for retirement.
I was going to ask about that because in this report, it says that almost a quarter of millennials' parents are paying for their rent. I was going to ask you, how are these parents affording that extra expense? But that's what they're robbing Peter to pay Paul then, maybe in a lot of cases, taking it out of money that would go toward their retirement and maybe might, earn some appreciable gains in a retirement account or a 401k, but instead that's going to pay those monthly expenses.
That's exactly right. And listen, as a parent of 4 kids, I get it. I'm no stranger to the empathy I feel to help my kids. The bottom line, though, is if I do that on a regular basis without cutting the cord, am I really helping them or am I long-term hurting them? And I think that's the tough love message of money that parents need to hear right now, because ultimately, no one's going to give you a loan for your retirement. You may be able to borrow money for college or take out a home equity loan to pay off credit card debt, but they're not going to give you a loan to give you the retirement you want. So the more you can save money now, have those hard, critical discussions with your kids, it may feel painful now, but literally no pain, no gain, and your kids will be much better for it.
The quote of the day, no one is going to loan you money for retirement. That's a heady thought, but it's absolutely true. Last thing before I let you go here, Derek, how do we find our way out of this, though? As you said, as parents, we want to help the kids out as much as we can. Young people probably don't want to make mom and dad have to pay for these things. They'd like them to, prepare for their retirement. How, do we get young people, better prepared financially?
Well, 2 things. First of all, we have a major national crisis, and it's called financial illiteracy. I did a report on this a couple weeks ago that people that don't have basic financial knowledge, it can cost them several $1,000s a year just in bad money decisions that they don't know they're making. Too high of credit cards, they're not paying it off, making bad purchases. The other issue is having critical discussions with your kids while they're in high school to prepare them for what does the college outlook look like? What are the expectations that we have for you to pay in terms of scholarships? What are we going to be responsible for? And then when you graduate, preparing them to have their own apartment and to prepare for their own expenses. That way they think that's the normal, and there's not the shock and awe financial program that really brings so much parenting down.
Yeah, those are tough discussions to have for sure. But you know what? These young adults are going to be paying for their parents when their parents try to retire later on and don't have the money, so that vicious cycle could continue. This is great advice, great information, Derek. Hopefully it helps some folks out there who are going through this right now. Really appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thank you, Jason. Good to be with you.
Derek Kinney, author of Good Money Revolution.